So basically I'm going to talk about Bitcoin. Everyone says Bitcoin Cash, but there's one Bitcoin and it is Bitcoin Cash. It's the same one without censorship or anything like that added. And I'll tell you another thing that no one seems to get. There is no such thing as this new blockchain thing. There is Bitcoin. Blockchain was invented in 1979. It's a land port signature. The innovation is economic. Full stop. It didn't work in 1979. It didn't work in a reiteration in 1983 because it didn't have economics. It works as a single coin. Forget this privacy bullshit. It is private if you do it right. BIP32 is a piece of shit. It is an indexed chain that once you know one, you can figure out everything. That's a bad implementation. That's it. If you actually have different implementation techniques, it is completely, utterly private. As for Zcoin, whatever else, who cares? In 5 years' time, they're not going to exist. Fungibility in money is very simple. It is a legislative issue. So when we're talking about this, what is Bitcoin? It is a peer-to-peer system. That has nothing to do with the back-end mining, whatever else. It means you and I can interact and exchange directly. In the first versions of Bitcoin, it was about IP to IP and other such things, and I could hand you a transaction that you could broadcast. That's what peer means. That's what people have got to start understanding. All this, we can do ICOs. Do you know the first token, computerized token, was invented in 1971? There is nothing new in any ICO. And I'm doing a doctorate in security law at the moment. And I can tell you quite categorically, there is not a single thing that is not covered and will not be crushed in the next few years. The FCA here in the UK are getting ready to wipe out every single ICO that has ever existed fairly much, because what value do they add? So what is Bitcoin? It is a cryptocurrency. First and foremost, it works because it is money. It has economic value. Then, it is a ledger that allows you to exchange. What it did was it solved a double spend problem using economic value. That's what it's all about. It is cash, first and foremost. Not some of the stupid ideas like cash as in C-A-C-H-E that people propagate. Cash, as in money, and exchangeable money. Every bit of money in the US has a serial number. Do you realize if you go to a bank, any little bank in the US, it's tracked. If you hand $1 in Russia, that serial number is reported to the US right now. Every single one of them. So this idea that your cash is not tracked is absolute crap. Bitcoin is more private. That does not mean anonymous. There is a big difference between anonymity and privacy. And no system will work anonymously. Because if you have an exchange with a third party and something goes wrong, you want to prove that exchange. That simple. If you go to a store, you need a receipt. If you pay tax, you need a receipt. If you buy from a company, you need a receipt. If you pay a wage, you want a receipt. Pseudonymy is different to anonymous for a reason, because no anonymous system is covered by law. That simple. And you want a cryptocurrency that actually covers you under law. So what is Bitcoin again? Bitcoin, it is not just money. It is an electronic cash, but it also is now what we can have as the foundation for where we go forward in the world. Bitcoin becomes that because it is a ledger that has monetary value. Every blockchain idea you hear, the only thing that makes it valuable is that it has value as cash. If your system is not valuable as cash, it is shit. Full stop. The end. So, economics. Like it or not, this is an economic system. Bitcoin was an economic system, will always be an economic system. There is no such thing as blockchain, the non-economic system. There We've seen recently shitcoin gold has been attacked. Shitcoin gold has been delisted. Why? Because they decided that the community matters and the whole lot of bullshit about scamming people into giving them a load of money that they could pump and dump and get out of it, which is 99% of this. The reality is it is secure because it has value, and that comes from use. Full stop. It means it has to be acceptable under regulation, like it or not. There is nothing in Bitcoin that was ever anti-government, anti-state, anti-bank. The comment, if anyone actually bothered to read the entirety of the Genesis block article in the Times, was about the Chancellor deciding that if the banks didn't do what he wanted, he was going to nationalise them. Not banks are bad, that a central bank could decide that they would pump more money in, and if the banks didn't issue bad loans, exactly that, bad loans, that if they didn't go against their commercial interest, a central bank could nationalise them. That's what Bitcoin's about, ensuring that sort of shit doesn't happen. So, business. Stability is the first and most important thing for any business. None of this, we're going to have a blockchain a week stuff. The reality is, if you're talking about an immutable record, it means in 100 years' time it will be there. Now, I've got a master's in law as well already, covering IP law and other such things. At the moment, for many of your records, they have to be there by law for 75 years or more. If you're talking certain things related to copyright, right now, that can be 125 years. If there's ever any legal dispute, you can be criminally liable for not protecting your records correctly. So basically, if you're having this idea of your immutable blockchain that is built on something that may not be there in 2 years' time, you're actually negligent. And I hope if you're doing this on a listed company, that someone realizes that they can sue your board. That simple. If you don't have a justification for this information being there in 50 years' time, you're criminally liable. And I'm quite happily teaching governments right at the moment how this works and why. Because these laws are not new. The law of negotiable instruments, there's some good law here in Britain going back to 1878 that defines all of this. So what are we looking at? We need security. We need things that are valid for multiple people. This is what we need to remember. We don't change protocol, we don't change the internet. It's set, it's hard, it's there. So we don't need to add much, we don't need to change much. It's an economic system where you can basically write data and do everything you need. And there is not one single ICO that has ever been invented on a new chain that couldn't be done in the original script of Bitcoin. So, something for you all to think about. Thank you.